Hello! I received a fair amount of questions about my Zarya cannon from Overwatch, so I thought it would be a good idea to toss together a quick little video, sort of stepping through the materials used, the techniques applied, as well as just overall stepping through the construction of the cannon in general, from the PVC skeleton all the way up to the LED circuit structure and how I got the little orb to spin and stuff like that. Diving right in, the materials used in this are not too complex. It's primarily pink insulation foam, or XPS foam. I have another video on using that with black Worbla, which is also what is used in this, and depending on the piece, EVA. So if you look at the overall shape of it, most of the big chunk pieces are going to be XPS foam. The reason being, it was easy to take my XPS foam and some Super 77 and put those pieces together and make a thicker chunk of foam that I could sculpt down to the piece that I wanted at the very end, like this battery pack kind of situation, and then shave it down to that, hand sand a little bit, and then cover it with my Worbla. There are some shapes that wouldn't work as well with, specifically things like this. The cannon arms, these tubes here are EVA as well. These little circular pieces that go around the core spinning. So it's a mix of pink insulation foam and EVA as the base, depending on the specific need. So the pieces that were pink insulation were adhered together with Super 77, and the pieces that were EVA were adhered together with contact cement. I used barge before being cleaned up to be wrapped with Worbla. All these little details on here, these little rivets and things like that, these little grips, these bolts and stuff like that were all added with epoxy sculpt after the Worbla was all done and finished and cleaned. I used just one layer of wood glue to get a little bit smoother. I was really time crunched with the convention. I wanted to make it 2 in time. I would have done more if I had the time to get a little more sheen. It came out fairly smooth because black Worbla is pretty smooth on its own, but I would have put more layers and sanded a bit more if I had more time. In addition to the XPS foam and the EVA that was wrapped in Worbla, I did add some details with blue acrylic. So these guards here were heated up and bent, as well as just to block the LEDs down here. There was some bond paper that's put on the inside to diffuse the lights a little bit. I used blue LED strips, put them in, and then put the blue acrylic on top. These were bent to form around the shape needed there. And then all throughout the inside of the cannon arms, there are 5 on the bottom and 5 on top. I did the same thing, just acrylic strips to guard each one of those, as well as inside the cannon arm itself, which I'll show in a second. Also, over here, as far as materials used in construction, my battery has worn out, but I used an XT power supply, which I shorted while working on Genos, another project, and testing my circuit. But basically, it fits up in here, and this slaps on as a battery holder with some neodyne rare earth magnets. So once my replacement power supply comes in, that'll slot back in there for BlizzCon 2016. But until then, I'm using a backup power supply to show the use there. So, more specifically on the lights themselves, I've gotten a lot of questions on the pulsing of the lights and the spinning of the core here. You can see it kind of spin a little bit more there. And I'll bring the camera in so you can see the circuitry behind that. But basically, there is from the battery supply here, there's wiring going all throughout here, coming up to the orb, and then to the core, and then up into the arms, down into each of these LED pieces here. And then here, there is an RF pulse blocker that I have rigged to a little remote. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description for around $5 or $6. That has different modes enabled, pulsing, kind of strobe effects and stuff. I have one here, and I have one right in the beginning of my circuit. So these together with 12 volts allows these to go all the way off, and then the beginning lights to be slightly affected by it. So just a little tuning there. As far as the orb, it started its life as one of those celestial nightlight projectors. And I kind of had to gut it and take the circuit board that it came with, that has a set of LEDs on it, and use that, and then take out the motor, which was an AC motor, and replace it with a DC motor, and hook that to a pulse width modulator. The pulse width modulator allows me to change the frequency of voltage that's going to that DC motor, so it's not constant. So that DC motor is hooked to a small piece of plastic, which changes the way that the light is refracted onto this orb. So basically, I can change my pulse width modulator, which is wired up through here, and increase the speed of the motor here, and change the way that looks until I can turn it all the way off. So as we're stepping through a little bit closer, you can see these details on the core, and I'll go down the cannon a little bit more. You can see what I was talking about with this is completely stopped on the pulse width modulator, and so I'm just going to turn the knob that I have routed through the handle a little bit. You can see it start to spin a little bit there, and this is just a little bit of speed applied to that motor, and then I can speed it up, and it changes the way that that orb looks. So I prefer the way that it looks pretty slow down here, which is the DC motor pretty tempered, so about like that. So the way that looks in general, I'll pop this off, which is a colored purple orb. See what I was talking about here? This is let me pop this light off. So this is a piece of plastic that is over the circuit board here, that has all of the different light colors mounted onto it that oscillate through the colors. And this piece of plastic is mounted through the board on a post to the DC motor, which I control the speed of. So kind of just to finish out the rest of the lighting circuit, the end of the gun had 5 strips of LEDs come in towards the top here, and then 5 strips to come here, and then each came up into these little EVA nodes that were covered in Worbla, and then these blue acrylics that I mentioned earlier, and then a chunk at the end here that went into the core. These LED strips look a bit like this, which I'll put a link to, and were each 3 sections long. So again, to super briefly step through the process, I sketched up the original blueprint on Adobe Illustrator based on the references that were provided by Blizzard. I made a vector blueprint and blew it up to this size. Then I made a PVC skeleton that's running all through here, and then I just started making each individual piece out of pink insulation or EVA, and then wrapping each piece with Worbla and attaching it to the skeleton. So carving out sections for the PVC, mounting it on, while keeping in mind my final circuit. So wiring, leading the wiring through and stuff for that. After I got everything finished, as far as wood glue cleaned, I airbrushed everything in around 3 days of non-stop painting and not sleeping before the convention. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Answers to some that I've heard a lot of, it's 23 pounds. It is load bearing, as in I can hold here and hold it up, because I ran a metal rod through here. I bent it and fit it through this situation. But this handle, as far as the pink foam inside this, it's not super strong, so I like to rest it on one leg when I hold it actually up, lean it on one leg at this pivot point down here. Other than that, let me know if you have any other questions. If you have any questions in general on a prop that you're building or armor piece that you're building and you think I could help, let me know. I'm always here. Thanks.